Welcome to today's deep dive. You ready to explore a book written almost a century ago, but still super relevant?
Definitely. I'm always up for a deep dive, especially one that promises to unlock some secrets. What are we looking at today?
Well, the book is called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn, published back in 1925.
Florence Scovel Shinn. She's got a unique perspective, that's for sure. Very spiritual approach to life's challenges.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be exploring today. Think of this deep dive as your personal cheat sheet to her core ideas.
Sounds good to me. Let's unlock those secrets.
Perfect. So, one of Shinn's big ideas is that life is a game, not a battle. What do you think about that?
I like that. It's a subtle shift in perspective, but it can make a big difference. When you approach life as a game, you're more strategic.
Yeah, and it's more fun, too. Like, who wants to be in a constant battle?
Exactly. Shin encourages a sense of playfulness, a lightheartedness, but she also emphasizes the power of the subconscious mind.
Okay, so what does that mean? The subconscious. I feel like I've heard that term, but don't fully grasp it.
Think of it like a powerful engine. It can work for you or against you, depending on how you use it.
Okay, and how do we use it? I'm all about harnessing power, not letting it run wild.
Well, the thing about the subconscious is it doesn't always distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. Like, it takes things literally.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
kind of scary. Can you give an example? Like, how does that actually play out in real life?
Sure. Shin tells the story about a woman who jokingly said she wanted to live in a trunk, like make a joke about being poor.
Okay.
And she ended up in a situation of poverty, feeling like she was living in a trunk. Her subconscious took her words literally.
Wow, so even casual comments matter.
Yeah.
So are we basically saying that we have to be super careful what we say, even in jest?
Exactly. Our words have power.
So how do we use that power for good? Give me some practical tips. I'm ready to level up my life.
Well, Shin believed that we can direct the power of the subconscious by understanding how the mind works. She breaks it down into three parts: the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious.
Okay, 3 parts, 3 minds.
hmm
That's a lot to keep track of. Break it down for me.
The subconscious, as we discussed, is that powerful but directionless force. Think of it like electricity. It needs something to guide it.
Okay, and what guides it?
That's where the conscious mind comes in. It's our everyday thinking mind. It can direct the power of the subconscious.
But our conscious mind can be kind of limited, right? We get bogged down with worries, deadlines, all that real world stuff.
True, but that's where the superconscious comes in.
Superconscious. Okay, what's that one all about?
Shin calls it the God mind. It's the realm of perfect ideas, divine design. It's where your unique purpose, your divine design for life resides.
Sounds pretty powerful. So how do we tap into that, this God mind?
Well, she believed that we can tap into the superconscious through our conscious thoughts and actions. Basically, we use our everyday mind to channel that divine wisdom.
So it's like a bridge between the subconscious and the superconscious.
Exactly. We can use our conscious mind to bridge that gap and create a powerful force for good in our lives.
I like that. That's a great visual. We're like the architects of our own reality, building this bridge between the subconscious and the superconscious. But I'm still a bit fuzzy on how it works in practice. Can you give me another example?
Sure. Think about the story of the woman who, from childhood, always imagined herself as a widow.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. It's kind of eerie. What happened to her?
Well, that image, that thought, imprinted on her subconscious, eventually manifested in her life. She did indeed become a widow. It's a prime example of how the subconscious can shape our reality, even from childhood beliefs.
So we have to be mindful of the thoughts and images we hold in our minds. It's not just about what we say out loud. It's our inner world, too.
Right. It all contributes to shaping our reality. And Shin believed that one of the most powerful ways to shape our reality is through the spoken word.
Okay, the spoken word.
Mm.
Tell me more about that. Does she mean just positive affirmations?
It's more than that. Shin believed every word we utter has a vibratory force that can attract experiences matching that vibration. It's like each word is a seed we plant in the garden of our lives.
Interesting analogy. So if I complain a lot, I'm basically attracting more things to complain about.
You got it. It's like sending out a signal to the universe, hey, send me more of this.
Wow, that makes you think twice about complaining.
Ah.
So if words can create negativity, can they also create positive experiences?
Absolutely. Shin uses this example of two people, one who always missed their car and another who always caught it. Their words reinforce their experiences.
So the person who kept saying they always miss their car actually made it more likely to happen.
Exactly. Their spoken words shape the reality. The power of the spoken word is huge, according to Shin. It's about being mindful of the energy we're putting out there.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. Our words have a ripple effect, creating waves of energy that shape our experiences. But what about those times when it feels like things are just happening to us, like bad luck or negative events that seem completely out of our control?
That's where Shin brings in the concept of karma.
Karma. So we're talking like what goes around comes around. I thought that was more of an Eastern philosophy.
Shin integrates Eastern concepts into her work. She sees karma as a spiritual principle of cause and effect. It's not about punishment, but about the energy we put out into the world eventually coming back to us in some form.
So it's like a cosmic boomerang.
Yeah,
What we send out, we eventually receive back.
exactly. It's about taking responsibility for the energy we create.
Okay, but what if we've already sent out some negative energy? Like, can we undo it?
Shin believed forgiveness is the key to neutralizing negative karma. It's like hitting a reset button, clearing the slate.
I'm all about reset buttons. Can you give me a concrete example of how this forgiveness thing works with karma?
Sure. She tells the story about a woman who received a counterfeit $20 bill, and she realized that she had previously sent stage money, fake money, to a friend as a joke.
Oh, wow, interesting. So her action of sending out fake money came back to her in the form of receiving counterfeit money.
Exactly. But here's the key. The woman realized her mistake and invoked the law of forgiveness. She affirmed that she was under grace, not under law, and would receive her rightful money.
Okay, and what happened? Did she get her real $20?
She did. She went back to the bank where she'd received the counterfeit bill, and they apologized and gave her a real one. Forgiveness shifted her karmic experience.
That's incredible. Okay, so forgiveness is not just about letting go of resentment. It's like a spiritual cleanse, a way to clear out negative karma and create space for positive experiences to come in.
Exactly. It's a powerful tool for transforming our reality.
This is so insightful. I feel like I'm getting a whole new perspective on how to approach life's challenges.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about how we should handle challenging situations as they arise.
That's where Shin's concept of non-resistance comes in.
Non-resistance. That sounds intriguing. What's that all about?
It's about surrendering control and trusting that a higher power is working things out for your highest good. It doesn't mean being passive, but rather choosing to respond with a calm and detached attitude.
Okay, so it's not about giving up, but about responding differently to challenges.
Exactly. It's about not giving in to fear or worry.
That sounds easier said than done. Do you have an example of non-resistance in action?
Sure. Shin talks about a woman who resisted taking a phone call. She was busy, didn't want to be interrupted.
And what happened?
Well, she was so focused on not taking the call that she ended up with the disconnected phone line. It made the situation worse.
Oh, wow, that's a great illustration. So by resisting the call, she actually created more problems for herself.
Yeah.
What if she just answered the phone? Maybe it wouldn't have been a big deal after all.
Exactly. That's the power of non-resistance. Sometimes surrendering to the situation is the best way to navigate it.
Okay, so non-resistance is about responding from a place of inner peace and trust, rather than reacting with fear or resistance. I'm seeing how that could be really helpful in those moments when we're tempted to freak out or control everything.
Exactly. It's a powerful way to shift your energy and create a more harmonious experience.
This is all making so much sense. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together, but I'm wondering, do we just sit back and wait for things to magically fall into place?
Well, not exactly. Shin believed that action inspired by intuition is in harmony with the divine plan.
Intuition. So we're talking about following those hunches, those gut feelings.
Exactly. She calls this inspired action. Pay attention to those nudges. They're often guiding you in the right direction.
That reminds me of the woman who felt guided to give $100 to a friend, and then she received a much larger sum shortly after.
Exactly. She followed her intuition, and the universe responded with abundance. It's about tuning into that inner wisdom and taking action when it feels aligned.
This is amazing. But how do we know if it's intuition or just our own thoughts and desires?
That's the tricky part. Shin suggests practices like meditation and prayer to cultivate that connection with your inner self. The more you quiet the chatter of the conscious mind, the more clearly you'll hear that whisper of intuition.
Okay, so it's about training our minds to listen to that inner voice.
Mhm.
It's like developing a spiritual GPS system.
Exactly. It's about learning to trust that inner guidance system. It's always there, waiting to be discovered.
This is all so inspiring. We've covered a lot of ground already. We talked about the subconscious, the power of words, karma, forgiveness, and even intuition. It's a lot to process. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up this part of our deep dive?
Well, we've just scratched the surface of Shin's work, but I think it's important to remember that her philosophy is all about empowering us to create the lives we desire. It's about recognizing our own innate power and aligning ourselves with spiritual principles to manifest our dreams.
That's a great reminder. It's not about passively waiting for things to happen. It's about actively participating in the creation of our reality. It's about playing the game of life with skill and intention.
Exactly. And that's what we'll explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Perfect. I can't wait to dive back in.
So you're ready to dive back into the game.
Absolutely. I'm feeling pretty energized after that first part. It's amazing how much wisdom is packed into Shin's work. What are we exploring next?
Well, we touched on intuition, but there's another powerful force Shin talks about: love.
Love. Now, that's a topic I can definitely get behind. But how does love fit into this whole game of life concept?
It's more like a cosmic force that kind of transcends the rules, even karma. Shin believed that true love, the unselfish kind, can actually heal and transform.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So how does that work? Give me an example. I'm a sucker for a good story.
She tells this story about a woman who was really hurt by her former lover. He basically just walked out of her life.
Ouch, that's rough. So what did she do?
Well, instead of dwelling on the pain and resentment, she chose to bless him. She sent him love and good vibes even though he'd hurt her.
Wow, that's some next level forgiveness.
Yeah.
Did it work? Did he come crawling back?
Well, it didn't change his behavior at first, but it transformed her. She became more peaceful and detached. And guess what?
Tell me.
He eventually came back into her life, and they ended up getting married.
No way. So love conquers all, even karma.
It's not about manipulating someone into coming back. It's about your inner transformation attracting a positive outcome. Love is a powerful force.
Okay, I'm a believer. But this brings up another question. If we're all part of this divine design that Shin talks about, does that mean our lives are basically predetermined?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of Shin's philosophy. She believed we each have a perfect plan for our lives, but it's up to us to recognize it, to claim it.
So it's not just about passively waiting for things to happen. We have to actively participate in the process.
Exactly. Shin calls it manifesting our divine design.
Manifesting. Okay, so how do we do that?
It's about actively demanding the manifestation of your divine design through prayer, affirmations, and aligned action.
Okay, break that down for me. What's aligned action?
Taking steps that are in harmony with your goals and your spiritual truth. It's like you're co-creating with the universe, bringing your highest potential into reality.
That makes sense. Do you have an example of this? Of someone manifesting their divine design?
She tells a story about a man who was struggling financially. He was down to his last cent, but he chose to give that last cent away in faith.
Wow. Talk about a leap of faith. What happened?
He received a job offer that changed his financial situation completely. It's like his act of faith opened the door for abundance to flow in.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. So it's about trusting that the universe will provide, even when it seems impossible.
Exactly. It's about surrendering to the divine plan, even when it seems illogical.
But how do we actually do that? Cultivate that level of trust, especially when we're facing challenges.
Shin gives a lot of techniques for impressing the subconscious mind with your desires. Affirmations are a big one, as is using music and even dance.
Wait, dance? Like I can dance my way to abundance.
She believed the rhythm and harmony can amplify the power of our spoken words. Imagine affirming abundance while dancing. You're embodying the energy of prosperity.
I love that. It's not just about rigid rituals. It's about finding what works for you and using it to shift your consciousness. But she also talks about active faith, right? Not just thinking positive thoughts, but actually doing something.
Exactly. It's about digging ditches, as she puts it. One example she gives is about a woman who wanted to find an apartment in a city with a housing shortage.
Oh, wow. That's almost impossible. What did she do?
Everyone told her it was impossible, but she refused to give up. She bought new blankets in anticipation of finding her perfect place.
She bought blankets. Seriously.
Yeah.
And she found an apartment.
She did. Her actions demonstrated her faith in the unseen. It's about taking those inspired actions, even small ones, to show the universe that you're serious.
Okay, this is starting to click. We cast the burden, dig our ditches, and believe with unshakable faith. But what about when things aren't working? When we're stuck? How do we keep going?
Shin acknowledges those times as part of the process. It's like old negative beliefs rising to the surface to be cleared out. It's the darkness before the dawn.
So we have to push through that feeling of being stuck.
Exactly. Stay steadfast in your faith, even when surrounded by darkness. Remember casting the burden. That can help you see in the dark. Trust that something greater is at work.
It's like we have to level up our courage to win the game.
You're right on the money. Shin believed that courage contains genius and magic. When we face our fears, they often lose their power.
Like the woman who was terrified of walking under ladders. She finally confronted her fear, and then the ladder just disappeared.
Exactly. It's like choosing courage shifted the energy, making the obstacle vanish. Fear creates what we're trying to avoid. Choose faith over fear.
This is so empowering. But Shin also talks about the fourth dimension. It sounds super abstract. Can you help me understand that?
It is a bit mind-bending. Think of it as a realm of pure potentiality where all possibilities already exist. It's like a cosmic library that holds the blueprints for our lives.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But how do we access this cosmic library?
Through intuition, listen to that still small voice within that guides us towards our highest good. Pay attention to those hunches, those intuitive nudges that seem to come out of nowhere.
Like that woman who felt drawn to a bakery even though she didn't want anything there.
Yes, she followed that impulse and ended up meeting someone who needed her help. Sometimes intuition guides us in ways that don't make sense immediately, but they serve a greater purpose.
Okay, so we're playing this game, guided by intuition, to manifest our divine design. But do we even have free will?
That's the age-old question. Shin believed that we choose our thoughts and beliefs which shape our reality, so we have the freedom to align with or resist that divine plan through our choices.
So it's like we're given a map, but can choose which path to take.
Exactly. And the more we align our choices with spiritual principles, love, forgiveness, non-resistance, the more we tap into that flow of our divine design.
So it's about consciously choosing the path that leads us to our highest potential. But we're human. We're not going to get it right all the time, right?
Of course not. Shin emphasizes self-awareness and forgiveness. Recognize when you've made a misstep, learn from it, and move on. Holding on to guilt just keeps you stuck. Forgiveness is like hitting the reset button.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about being aware and making cautious choices. But even when we're trying our best, we still experience setbacks. What's the deal with that?
Shin says those setbacks are opportunities for growth. They can redirect us to a path that's even more aligned with our true purpose.
So challenges are like course corrections,
Mhm.
guiding us towards our highest good.
Exactly. It's all about perspective. That's where a strong spiritual practice comes in. Connecting with that inner source of strength and wisdom that helps us through tough times.
Okay, so prayer, meditation, spending time in nature, those
Yeah.
are all ways to nurture that connection.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that inner wellspring of peace, guidance, and resilience that can support us through anything.
This is so inspiring. It sounds like we're not just playing the game of life, we're mastering it,
Yeah.
becoming more skillful players with each level. But how do we actually create the life we desire? Does Shin give any specifics?
She does. She talks about affirmations, positive statements that affirm the reality we want to create.
So if I want to manifest abundance, I might say, I am a magnet for wealth and prosperity.
You got it. The key is to really feel it, embody the energy of what you desire as if it's already yours. Align your thoughts, feelings, and actions.
It's a trifecta of intention. But Shin also emphasizes taking action, right? It's not just about positive thinking.
Right, again. Shin was a big believer in inspired action, taking concrete steps to support those desired outcomes. So, while affirming abundance, maybe also manage your finances wisely and explore new opportunities.
So it's like our actions and affirmations are working together, creating synergy. But that sounds like a lot of discipline.
It does take effort. But remember, Shin says life is a game, and those who understand the rules and play skillfully are sure to win. The more we practice, the more skillful we become.
I like that. So we're all players in this game of life, and we can learn to master it.
Yeah.
But can we manifest things for other people? Or are we just responsible for our own reality?
That's a great question. Shin emphasizes that we can't control other people's lives or force them to manifest what we want for them.
So no manifesting a winning lottery ticket for my best friend.
Afraid not. Everyone has their own free will and their own unique path.
Okay, so we can't play the game for other people, but can we at least cheer them on?
Absolutely. We can support them with positive thoughts and intentions, sending them love and blessings, but we have to respect their free will.
This is so insightful. But what about when other people seem to be messing with our manifestations? Like when someone is being super negative, do we have to avoid them altogether?
Shin suggests creating a spiritual shield of protection. Surround yourself with love and light.
Okay, so it's like a force field of positivity. I can work with that. But what about when we can't avoid those interactions, like at work or with family?
We always have the power to choose our response. We can choose to engage with the negativity or rise above it.
So it's about recognizing that we don't have to react to everything. We can choose to respond with calmness, detachment, even compassion.
Exactly. You're learning to master your own energy, not letting external circumstances control your emotional state.
I love that. But Shin also talks a lot about giving and receiving. Can you unpack that a bit?
She believed that life is a constant exchange of energy, a flow of giving and receiving. And the more we give, the more we open ourselves up to receiving abundance.
So it's not just about getting what we want, it's about giving freely.
Yes. And it's not just about giving to others, it's about giving to ourselves. Treat yourself with kindness and love. Nurture yourself so the universe can nurture you in return.
This is all so profound. I'm feeling incredibly inspired to play this game with skill and intention. But what about surrender? It feels like a delicate balance between taking action and letting go.
You've hit upon a key element of Shin's teachings. True manifestation requires a surrender to the divine plan.
So it's about letting go of how things should be and trusting that the universe has a plan. But doesn't that contradict taking action?
Not at all. Surrender doesn't mean being passive. It's about taking inspired action, guided by intuition and trust in the divine plan.
So it's about flowing with the current instead of struggling against it.
Exactly. And when we do that, things often unfold effortlessly.
It's like we're learning to dance with the universe, to co-create our reality with grace. What an amazing concept. So what's your biggest takeaway from Shin's work?
Her emphasis on the power of our words has always resonated with me. She reminds us that our words are vibrations that can shape our reality.
So it's about choosing our words carefully, knowing they have creative force.
Yes. And she also talks about the importance of paying attention to our self-talk, our inner dialogue. Those inner conversations are just as powerful.
Wow, it's like we're constantly writing the script for our lives, both through our spoken words and our inner thoughts.
Exactly. Infuse your words with love, gratitude, and faith, and watch as your reality reflects those qualities.
This has been an incredible journey. I'm already feeling more empowered to play the game of life with more intention and awareness. But what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from this deep dive?
That they are the masters of their own destiny. They have the power to create the life they desire by aligning their thoughts, beliefs, and actions with spiritual principles.
So it's about stepping into our power as conscious creators.
Exactly. And embracing life as a joyful adventure, guided by intuition, faith, and trust in their divine design.
This has been an incredible exploration. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. What a journey.
We've been talking about mastering the game of life, but what does that really mean, you know?
Yeah, it's a great concept, but what does it actually look like in real life?
I think for me, it's about recognizing that we are not just pawns in the game, like we're not just victims of circumstance.
Right. We have the power to shape our reality. But if that's the case, then doesn't that mean we're also responsible for all the bad stuff that happens?
That's a really good point, and that's where forgiveness becomes so important.
Forgiveness for ourselves, or for others, or both?
Both, actually.
Okay, so forgiving ourselves for the mistakes we've made, and forgiving others for the ways they've hurt us.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all human, we're all learning and growing, and we're all going to mess up sometimes.
So it's not about blaming ourselves for our past, but about choosing to learn and grow from it.
Exactly. It's about taking those experiences, the good and the bad, and using them as fuel for our evolution.
I love that. It's like turning our mistakes into stepping stones.
And that's where Shin's concept of casting the burden can be so helpful.
Casting the burden. Remind me what that's all about.
It's about surrendering our worries and fears to a higher power, letting go of that heavy baggage from the past.
So it's like a conscious choice to release the things that are holding us back and open ourselves up to new possibilities.
Exactly. It's like hitting the refresh button and stepping into a lighter, more empowered state of being.
That sounds amazing, but it also sounds like a big leap of faith, especially when things aren't going our way.
It is a journey, and it takes courage to let go of control and trust that the universe has our back.
Right. It's like taking a blind leap into the unknown.
It can feel like that sometimes, but remember what Shin said? Courage contains genius and magic.
Oh yeah, I remember that. So the more courage we have, the more magic we can create.
Exactly. And when we choose to face our fears head on, they often lose their power over us.
Like the woman who was terrified of walking under ladders, right?
Yeah.
She finally faced her fear and the ladder just vanished.
That's a perfect example. It's like her courage shifted the energy and the obstacle disappeared.
So fear is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we fear something, the more likely it is to happen.
In a way, yes. When we choose faith over fear, we open ourselves up to a whole new world of possibilities. We break free from those self-imposed limitations.
That's so powerful. I'm really starting to understand how all these pieces fit together, how they create this beautiful tapestry of personal transformation.
It is pretty amazing how it all comes together, isn't it?
It is. We've covered so much ground in our deep dive into Florence Scovel Shin's work, but if you had to sum it all up into one key message, what would it be?
I think the most important message Shin offers is this. Life is not happening to you, it's happening through you.
Oh, wow. I love that. So we're not victims of circumstance. We're active participants in the creation of our reality.
Exactly. You have the power to shape your reality through your thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
And the more we align ourselves with those spiritual principles we've been talking about,
The more we tap into a flow of abundance, joy, and fulfillment.
it's like unlocking our full potential, stepping into the best version of ourselves.
Exactly. It's about embracing the journey and realizing that we are capable of creating a life that truly lights us up.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. It's like Florence Scovel Shin has given us a whole new playbook for the game of life, a guide to playing with more skill, intention, and joy.
I think so too. It's not just about winning the game, it's about enjoying the process, learning, growing, and creating something truly magical along the way.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So for all our listeners out there, remember, you are not just playing the game of life, you are designing it.
Choose your thoughts, beliefs, and actions wisely, and watch as your reality transforms into something truly extraordinary.
This has been an incredible exploration into the wisdom of Florence Scovel Shin. We hope you've gained valuable insights and practical tools for playing the game of life with skill, intention, and a heart filled with joy.
Until next time, keep playing and keep shining.